I just want to make sure if it's on or not. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Oh, wow. I just had a little echo going on. Sorry about that. I just realized, it was like a sudden live, and I know that some people actually asked me if I was gonna do, like my insight about Epic Universe and Destination D23 and a couple of other experiences I had during this last week while I was in Orlando. I was actually at the Walt Disney World and Universal Studios Florida, Islands of Adventure. You know, mostly, I actually spent the entire day at Epic Universe, and throughout that whole week, I didn't even really get a day rest, so I was like really burnt out. I don't usually get burnt out when it comes down to parks. I think the age has like really gotten me to a core that I got burnt out. It was really hot outside. Um, I usually do like a couple of mile exercises, like walking, practices and so forth, to be in shape. That way, I don't really, like feel wiped out. But this trip was actually, like took a really big toll on me. I didn't really and like the first couple of days I enjoyed my park right there, and then eventually like around the time when I was in Magic Kingdom and Epcot and also Destination D23, like I was really having fatigue. I was like tired, and I had like six blisters on my sole of my feet uh due to like wearing Crocs and like sandals, which I regret on doing. I should have like brought in sneaker, but I didn't want to get wet while there's like a lot of big rains and things going on. So that was kind of like my mistake on my part right there, and I just you know don't want to do that type of again. I think it's like there were way too many things going on this year that way, and also another thing is that I was going to Destination D23 with my family at the time, and one lesson that I learned was that I will probably not be going to family, going to D23 or Destination D23 with family ever again, only because that's I just realized that was like the biggest mistake that I've had so far. Not exactly a smart idea. Um, I don't, I don't want to give advice to anybody else who end up having that type of experience as well too. If you're going with your family, great. That's up to you. But as of right now, like try to meet the expectation with the family, and then while also doing the expo and trying to do content at the same time, it becomes a little bit of messy right there. Especially like when they're like kids, and then like for other families who are not into like a content creating or into expos. So we decided to split that, like family is a family, content creator is a content creating, and I think that's what's going to happen in the very future. Now I am gonna a little bit talk about Epic Universe because it is a park that was just open just recently. As you know, I do believe that the Epic Universe, we have some content creators who've been like, hyping up a little bit too much, and then bragging about how great it is, and that kind of like killed my mood on wanting to like Epic Universe. Like too much rage baiting, and then like certain people on social media have always like kind of like slammed about Walt Disney World. Well, um, saying, "Oh, Epic Universe is like much better," and blah 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 blah. Let's be real here. It's a new park. It's a big park, actually. It is a really really big park. Um, it really makes Universal Studio Florida and Islands of Adventure look obsolete to a point that Universal Studio Florida and Islands of Adventure was like actually as empty as possible. There were not a lot of people there. There were way more people in Universal. I mean, the Epic Universe, but oh boy, it was pretty bad. Especially it was like the last around the last week before kids have to go back to school kind of thing. It's like the busiest season, and Universal Studio Florida was like nearly empty. There were not a lot of people on the lines or anything like that. The attendance was like pretty much dead. Um, Islands of Adventure, on the other hand, there were some crowds, like around Velocicoaster is one of them, and then the what is it? Hagrid's the event, the motorbike adventure was also another ride that was like pretty crowded. Aside from that, like the rest of the park rides were pretty much like dead to a point where everyone just prefers going to Epic Universe. Now here's the thing about Universal as a park. Um when they launched this Epic Universe, I think it created a little bit way too much FOMO, fear of missing out, to a point that, everyone feel that they have to go to a new park, and they feel that they don't really need to go to these old parks, and Universal really needs to do something about it because the Toontown area of the Islands of Adventure was beyond like empty, and the Marvel Island, uh Spider-Man was like, also very nearly empty, but Hulk ride was like actually, there were some people because, obviously it's a roller coaster, and people want to ride roller coaster. When it comes to Universal, like grown-ups and teenagers who like thrill rides are gonna prefer going there over Disney. It always has been like that. That's something that you have to admit that. Um, when it comes down to thrill, you go to Universal. When it comes down to like a little bit more family oriented and a little bit more immersion, like meeting with the Disney, and if you're into big Disney person, then obviously this Walt Disney World would be the ideal choice. And a lot of people have also said that you know um how Universal would like make Disney fans like shake their legs, or like Disney should be fear of like what's to come for Universal. I disagree with that. As you know, Disney has its own core audience that has never betrayed a or turn its back on Disney. You once you go into Disney and then you really fell in love with it, you will always keep to it. And there are many people who don't really like intense rides, or the certain IPs that Universal provides. They love like family oriented. They love like the nighttime shows that Disney provides, the parades, and then like the dining and then the customer service. So there are a lot of things that Disney provides more than Universal, and that's still not going to change us anything that much. Like, should Disney somehow stops giving those customer service, or should Disney like stops giving like quality foods, or quality like family oriented shows like such as like fireworks or night shows, maybe that would be like that would kill Disney as a park, and then you have like Universal taking advantage of it. But at the end of the day, like if should universe people leave Disney for Universal, that's only like the 10 to 15% of the audience. And then the rest of the like 80. 85 to 90% of the audience will still remain Disney, and it will be always busy. And I know some of the content creators have actually like brought up how like Rise of Resistance is only 30 minutes. That doesn't change the fact that like the ride is still popular and people will always go back to it. And that doesn't change anything, trust me. Now, I will also talk about Epic Universe when it comes down to rides, because the rides definitely feel more entertaining, and there's definitely huge improvements in Epic Universe comparing to Universal Studios, Florida, as well as Islands of Adventure. There's a big gap of tiers, is how I would say. Something that like it clearly shows that when they created Epic Universe, the team who designed these rides and designed these parks really stepped up and gave a different type of perspective from their old parks. So that is also the reason why I think people just stop going to USF and IOA in this case right there. I'm gonna call USF for short term of like Universal Studio Florida and House of Adventure. I'm pretty sure a lot of people use the same type of terms anyways. Uh yeah, but in regards to this, like I like Epic Universe. I actually did like it. There's no doubt that Epic Universe has a big potential and promising future for Universal in Florida. But I can't speak for how the future is going to be for Universal Studio Florida itself and the Islands of Adventure, unless they decide to change a lot of IP out of that park, right? Those two parks right there. And some people say that they don't need to be removed. I highly disagree. Universal is a completely different type of standard right there. Not a lot of people like Popeye anymore. A lot of kids, the new generations don't even know what Popeye is, and like they don't even really read like the old classic cartoon comic strips. So all of those Tone Town has to kind of go, and Marvel Island. There's not a lot of like new stuff that came into Marvel Island um, for at least 10 years. So I feel like they need to change some kind of IP over there, and they need to change something a little bit in like Universal Studio Florida, like the Men in Black has to change. It has to do something different. The Simpsons ride has to be something different. All of these rides right now, uh, I feel like all those two parts are having identity crisis right now. They're having a big struggle because the Epic Universe is getting way too many audience. So these people are, these two parks are not gaining enough audience right there. They're not like splitting um favoritism right there. This is one of those reasons why Disney does better than Universal, because you can split the audience for other like, four parks right there, and then two other water parks and so forth. But when it comes down to Universal, I think there's a little bit of struggle, and not to mention Epic Universe location is far different from USF and IOA, so that's another thing too. Um, they're too far away from each other, and that's what makes it worse. Now we're gonna talk about the Epic Universe right tier list. Let's see. What is this? I can't see. Okay. Let's talk about Mario Kart, because Mario Kart has always been my biggest anticipation of the ride itself. When I actually rode the Mario Kart, um, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I feel like it was a big disappointment that it had to be four seater, where you need to have four people sit on the one Mario Kart right there, and then you put a goggles on, and everyone has to like cooperate together to, shoot and make scores, and then try to compare your scores with against the other carts right there. And I think that it was like the quite of the biggest disappointment. You're not like legitimately racing against other people. It's pretty like more of a shooter simulator is how I would say it. But while you're spinning around and so forth, if you're into that type of ride, then I would recommend you try it. But also, your special power requires you to purchase one of those Band wannabe for Nintendo World. And if you have it and then the other three people don't have it, then that kind of screws you up a little bit, because you need to have all four people to use that band to get powers, and then make gain extra points. And that would be the biggest downside of this ride. So in my case, Mario Kart was kind of mid right there. Um, Yoshi's ride was, I don't even know if I should even like, I don't know, like I actually did sit down and ride on the rode on this, and it felt like more like, Little Mermaid ride and the Magic Kingdom. That's how I would say it, but much slower. It almost is like, a small world as well too, but the only difference is that you have an interaction button. You have to find the eggs, and you click the button to get it right. The trek is actually shorter, in my own opinion, than a small world. That's just my view. Uh, I think it's just like a kind of like relaxing ride, in case if you're kind of burnt out from like intense rides, and you just want to come here and to like relax a little bit. I think this would be the perfect choice. So I would probably say only ride it for the credit. Now let's talk about Minecart Madness. Um, I think Minecart Madness was pretty good. Uh, every minecart roller coasters, it does get a little bit bumpy, and you might feel like ouchy right there. That's just given. That I rode Six Flags Great Adventures at El Toro. It feels bumpy and ouchy. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, ouchy. Mine cars are always going to be like that. I thought it was fun. It was very creative. It made it, that created a little bit of some anxiety for those people that were riding with me, because some of the tracks just feel like they're like broken or like cut off. So some people were kind of like saying, oh my god, like why is the car like track broken? There was somebody who was screaming like that. So that was pretty funny though. The first time writing experience might give you some kind of thrill right there, but writing it over and over again might get you bored eventually. But I will say that this ride is pretty good, so I'm gonna rate it as good. Now let's kind of get to Harry Potter. What is it? The Battle of the Ministry. So Harry Potter Battle of the Ministry is almost similar to the, what is it, Universal Hogwarts one. What was the ride called? Let's see. It's Forbidden Journey. Yeah. That was a Forbidden Journey. So it does kind of feel like Forbidden Journey, where you're like sitting down like right like horizontally with everyone else, and then the ride like kind of like moves around back and forth. Like, oh hey, you went here, you went there, let's go to the other side, kind of thing. It's it's like one of those signature Universal thing where Universal's like does this for what which area was that? It was like a Transformers. Yeah, Transformers right does that, and then like what other rides was there? I mentioned Forbidden Journey. I remember there was another ride. I think that was like the Monsters Unleashed, maybe. But like that, like this type of ride is actually a Universal signature thing in my personal opinion. Like you go in this one direction, okay, let's go. Let's take this story to another phase. So you know your like ride is like kind of like spinning around and like going back and forth. Um, you know that would be the case right there. Once you go inside the Battle of the Ministry, right? You It feels like you're actually in the fifth and seventh movie of Harry Potter. You're actually at the Ministry of Magic, and the whole decoration interior, like the pre-shows and like the floorings and the architect itself was just like phenomenally well done. I you know I'm not even praising the whole Harry Potter universe because, like, screw J.K. Rowling. I don't like her at all. For her bigotry and transphobic comments. But when it comes down to like Warner Brothers and you know um, the team that worked on Harry Potter for this film universe and the Wizarding World universe, this was just another level right there. I don't know. I don't know how they do things right there. Universal just really nailed this to the like the hardcore wall right there. And I would say that this is without a doubt epic. This is well done. Like I can't. Uh, you can't really ask for it to be better than this. Now let's kind of talk about I think that was like a fire battle or something like that. Oh no, fire drill. Yeah, yeah, fire drill. So fire drill is one of those rides that I've actually had, and I forgot to bring poncho with me, and I ended up getting wet a couple of times. It's a kids ride, but also it's a fun kids ride. Um, kids get to use like water cannons to like shoot at like the designated targets while the boat is moving around. It feels like like you're doing like a battleship, Viking battleships, and one of the water parks that I actually went to Splish Splash in Long Island, and they had this type of like boats where you're shooting against other opponents or like you have to make the targets to um win against the other team. And this idea was pretty good. Um, but I will say that you will get really wet. Like without a doubt, you will get wet. There's no question about it. Like if you think that you're not gonna get wet, you are, you know, under you are underestimating this water ride right there. They even give you a warning sign to say you will get wet. So um, I recommend you to uh do something about it. I personally think that this is a fair ride. It's like it's a mid. There's no actual thrill to it. It's fun, but it's not like something that uh, epic enough to ride. You can kind of skip it if you want. So Stardust Racers, I believe that it's a pretty good ride. Um, it's one of the fastest and intense roller coaster in Universal, theme park outside of Velocicoaster. It's there are two coasters. One is a green track and a yellow track. And truth be told, like the green track doesn't really look like green. Trust me, it looks a little bit like a darker yellow and like a mustard type of thing. I don't know why they call it a green track. I think they should like repaint that track into be actual gold green or something. I don't know why they didn't, but both rides kind of launch at the same time. They kind of like go against each other. When I was there, only one ride was active, and it was like right around the moment before the rain was about to happen. So they were like, "Oh, this is like the last ride before we had to close it down temporarily." So I was sitting in the way back inside of it. Um, the ride itself is really good. I actually like, but also at the same time, I almost like scared a little bit because of the way it like launched and like when like above 80 miles per hour type of speed on like a couple of times. But regardless, the intensity and then the longevity of this ride, I think it deserves some kind of merit right there. I personally feel that it's epic. It's pretty good. And then but is it better than Velocicoaster? I think Velocicoaster is much better. That's just me. Um, when it comes down to bring fear factor, fear intensity type of emotions into it. Now let's talk about Monsters Unchained. Monsters Unchained is it's in the Monsters universe. I liked it. Um, but at the same time, I don't understand the lore of the Monsters universe or anything like that. So I'm not exactly familiar with it. If anything, the whole idea about like certain characters in that ride like didn't make sense to me. There was some like a scary stuff right there. I think it's a perfect candidate ride for Halloween theme to it. Is it friendly for kids? If your kids are like into scary stuff, yeah, I guess this is an okay ride for them, but I will say one thing right there, but Monster Universe is actually like really really well done. Like the whole decorations and the environment immersion right there, I think is very well done. Um, I don't think you can go like you can get better than what they have right up there. If you're into the whole monsters thing, I think this is the right land for you. Monsters Unleash would be good in right up there. That's just me. And then yeah. Let's see. Hiccups of Wing Gliders. I believe the Hiccups Wing Glider is actually a fun ride. It's great for kids as well too. Um, I would say that this is actually good section right there. It was fun. Um, it's not that intense, but it is like kind of like a breeze through the wind. It's almost as good as a Hackers in my personal opinion. I think they got that idea from Hagrid's actually. Uh, like the going forward and then kind of like wind back and then going back forward again. So the whole idea again concept of that ride, it has similarities with Hagrid's, and it works really well. So I do think that this ride is pretty good. I could probably also rate it as like epic, but in my personal opinion, I think it was much better than the Minecraft Madness. That's just me. And then Constellation Carousel, I think it's good. Um because of the musics. The musics and then the theme that they're giving was really nice. It kind of like brings that George Mealy's vibe into it. I think that was their only intention right there. And all the decoration and designs were just phenomenal. The music was amazing. I would say that this carousel is really outdone itself, so I would give it good on it. And then uh what is it? The next one is like Dragon Rally, right? Yeah, Dragon Rally Racers. So this Dragon Rally Racers is not exactly as you think. It's actually more like a Viking like spinner kind of thing right there. You spin around like, upside down and so forth. It's okay. I liked it. It was good. I don't want to explain too much about it because I mean, like, you can just kind of Google and watch the YouTube video of what it acts like. Um, but there's a definitely some kind of drill into it. But I just find it good. I don't want to explain further about this part right there. And then Curse of the Werewolf, I am gonna skip. Well, actually, I don't have to skip, I guess. Because I actually thought that it was pretty good too, actually. Yeah, you know, I would say good on it. It's a pretty fun ride. Like the whole twisting thing was pretty good too. So yeah, that's my chair right there. So I didn't go to Atlantic for dining at the Epic Universe. I should have gone there. I went to the pizza place in the Epic Universe. Oh, what was that place called? Pizza. Oh, Pizza Moon in Celestial Park. As you know, some people have given this rating a little bit low. I don't know why. And a lot of people said this is the worst pizza I have had any of the 4 Universal parks. I kind of disagree on that. And then we waited 20 minutes for the standard pizza. I also disagree on that. So the pizza came in, arrived as it's supposed to. I don't like quick pizza that arrives quick because it makes it looks like it makes it feel like you're eating a um like Pizza Hut or Papa John's kind of thing right there, and or you're back at Pizza Rizzo at the former Disney Hollywood Studios. Uh, and I definitely don't want pizza that comes in late because it will obviously be stone cold. But if I had to say that, I think this pizza is actually good, and then the price for the pizza you pay for, uh, comparing to New York pizzas these days, and it's a park pizza. I think the Pizza Moon's price range is very reasonable and affordable. That's just me. And then what else is out there? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I would definitely give 8 out of 10 with only the bad way is just dealing with um like limited menu, I guess. So there's not a lot of like choice for the pizza options. We actually enjoyed the mushroom pizza that they had with the Alfredo sauce. So I think that was pretty good. Is it as good as the Via Napoli from Epcot? I would disagree. I think Via Napoli pizza is also, pretty good. Um, but when it comes down to like different options of the pizza, I think Epcot does a better job comparing to that. But regardless, I do think that Epic Universe pizza is actually good. The Pizza Moon, I highly recommend it. And then the design, I'm a big fan of George Manley's work. So if you are into that type of art style, and then the decorations, I highly recommend it. Now the next what was it? I'm sorry. I'm like a little bit like I'm kind of like drowsing a little bit only because I haven't had a lot of sleep ever since I came back. So forgive me if I had to like kind of like blink multiple times. So let's kind of talk about like just I'm just gonna kind of like skip about Universal because I already finished talking about it. But let me just get a drink really quick. So oh yeah, I forgot to mention one thing. If anybody ever says that they want to try Blue Dragon, please don't. The one at the Epic Universe, the Chinese pan restaurant, it's it's just got awful. Like I try eating the what is it? Beef and broccoli. I don't know how they do things in that restaurant, but as far as my experience in eating beef and broccoli on a like, a daily basis and in every Chinese delivery restaurants I've had so far, even including PF Chang's, that was probably the one of the worst beef and broccoli that I've ever eaten. And worst is like doesn't even cut to it. Like the customer service was awful too. It's just like we asked for like a brighter spot. When like half of the seats were empty, they refused to accommodate for us. So we just ended up like um taking the darkest seats right there. However, I will say that the shumai and dumpling were like kind of average. I would give it like 7 out of 10, right around there. But beef and broccoli was like really 0 out of 10. I told her, I had to ask the waiter to that I can't eat it, and then I barely even touched it. So they asked me to replace the food, and I said that I wanted wontons, and that's what I got, and wontons and shumai, so that's what I got. But at the end of the day, it was like not a perfect dinner, and the tastes were like not that great either. I don't know if that has to do with like a chef, like you know, if it was a not the head chef, but regardless, that was like one of the worst experience I had. I feel like I should have visited Atlantic or eaten like the counter, like the foods that were at the counters. I think that would have been a better choice. But if anybody ever tries to eat that place, please don't. I highly do not recommend it. Now let's kind of talk about Animal Kingdom, the new changes. Yeah, obviously, they announced that the dinosaur and then the rest of the dinosaur lands are going to be removed around like 2000, early 2026. I mean, everyone probably already has, accepted the fact that it was going to be removed, and it was bound to happen. So, according to the app map, if you take a look at the app right there, they don't actually have the boneyard anymore. So it's all just like covered in like trees and shrubs. They don't even consider that land to be there anymore. Kind of wish that they did something better with the dinosaur lands instead of getting rid of it. But I do feel that Disney has always struggled with the dinosaur theme related IPs. So comparing to Universal, and Universal seems to do a better job with it. So I think Disney just like kind of like throw their hand out and stick to whatever they were originally good with, just like family oriented like Disney fantasy type of movies or mother and daughter. type of like attraction rides, I guess. But yeah, oh my god, I'm like mm, drowsing off. But yeah, I do believe that I can't wait for Encanto to come out, and then also it's kind of funny because Jared Bush, uh, the director of the Zootopia 2, have stated that he actually went to Imagineers department and saw what they're applying to put for Encanto in the tropical Americas, and he said that it was very mind blowing. So assuming that it's going to be really good, I can't wait for it. And I'll do another content like maybe tomorrow for the Disney rides and then foods and then the resort like ranking it, but only because like I'm just like getting a little bit too tired. I haven't really had a lot of sleep recently. I need to like kind of fix on that. But yeah, so we'll work on that for tomorrow, same time, and then we'll also talk about Destination D23. But I do appreciate whoever's watching right now. And for those who missed out the live, I will put this up on the video list as and then you can kind of like watch it through and leave any comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and then I will also be joining with OG55 as a guest, and I'll be talking about the same thing with the Epic Universe as well as Destination D23. Um, so if anything, if you want to see, show up for tomorrow, be sure to, check out the links that I'll be posting for tomorrow. Thank you, and then have a good night.